Leader Member Exchange Series with Mary Barr, CEO of General Motors, created by Daniel, Dominic, Nathan, and Nick. Alamec's theory rests firmly on the assumption that leaders influence employees in their group through the quality of the relationships they develop with them. It is distinguished from other leadership theories by its focus on the dyadic relationship between a leader and a member, whereas traditional theories seek to explain leadership as a function of personal characteristics of the leader. A high-quality relationship is characterized by trust, liking, respect, and loyalty. In these relationships, leaders provide support, developmental opportunities, mentoring, and other benefits to the employee. While performance and competence are important currencies of helping to build trust, newcomers react positively to manager behaviors that communicate manager support of the newcomer. High-quality relationships usually grant employees more flexibility and autonomy. Hill, Kang, and Seo study the role of electronic communication in employee empowerment and work outcomes. They found that the higher degree of electronic communication between leaders and followers resulted in more positive leader-member relationships. Crane and Yui Bean suggest that leadership making develops over time in three phases. The stranger phase. Leader-member relate to each other within the described roles. The acquaintance phase. Dyads shift away from the prescribed job description and the defined roles. The mature partnership phase. Leaders and subordinates are tied together in a productive way. The following questions ask about your relationship with your immediate boss. Scores in the upper range indicate stronger, higher quality leader-member exchanges, whereas scores in the lower ranges indicate exchanges of lesser quality. What score did you get? Give it a go. Sarah began her career in GM in 1980 as a General Motors Institute co-op student at the Pontiac Motor Division. In 23 years, she's gone from inspecting fenders to being in charge of worldwide product development. Farah took over GM in the midst of the Switchgate scandal, which was a decade-long cover-up by the company involving faulty vehicle ignition switches installed in several car models. Farah's first task as CEO was to show that the company was taking responsibility for the problem and was implementing tangible solutions. This included paying reparations to crash victims and their families, as well as initiating a recall of 1.6 million GM vehicles. She also testified before Congress in an attempt to restore the faith of the consumers. She invested billions in electric vehicles, self-driving cars, and a rideshare service called Maven. GM ranked number 1 on the 2018 Global Report on Gender Equality and was one of only 2 global businesses that have no gender pay gap. She also established a strategic direction based on putting customers at the center of everything the company does. When GM fell into bankruptcy, despite the turmoil, Farah conveys that she never doubted the company would survive. It was a very difficult and a humbling time, she said. She also never forgets that collaboration yields results. In interviews, she's known for talking about her team. She's also very respectful, and she's simplified the dress code to allow for employee judgment. Mary realized that changing the corporate culture was a necessity. Under her leadership, GM would focus on customer relationships and excellence. Customer satisfaction would be at the center of everything. There would be transparency within the company, and she also initiated a program called Speak Up for Safety, where her commitment was if you're worried, I'm worried. It is her vision, however, that is setting the stage for change. One of the things that she did at GM was to change a multi-page, highly prescriptive dress code to simply encourage employees to dress appropriately. They no longer had to comply with a convoluted set of rules, and they could finally bring more of their true selves to the work environment.
And so I would take them through and say, okay, what do you do? You know, I run a group of 20 people. I'm responsible for $10 million of budget, et cetera. And I said, so I can trust you with $10 million of budget and supervising 20 people, but I can't trust you to dress appropriately, to figure that out. And it was really, it was a kind of a step in empowering.
Right.
Because we found that sometimes people hid behind the rules and didn't like them, but didn't necessarily step up. So it really encouraged people to step up.
I mean, that's a huge part in the culture change at GM. And people will look back at the bailout and everything that happened, but GM is a much different company today.
She has been described by colleagues and mentors as a great listener and very approachable. According to Angel Mia, Several sources confirm her creating an inclusive space for employees to express their ideas and opinions. They are collected by Barra, and then she provides feedback. According to Matusek, she has been praised for her capability to communicate with subordinates and peers. She led by example by showing her loyalty and kindness, as well as engaging in making sure that everyone is heard and has their opinion in the group meetings. In a recent interview with Hirsch for the Los Angeles Times, she influenced and discussed her management style as collaborative by highlighting the importance of teamwork and everyone having a say. She was known to be a supportive leader as she truly cared and showed concern for the needs of her subordinates, which included them in decision making, team appraisal, and giving credit to employees when the business was successful. Her leadership changed internal and external perceptions of the company, and on her first year, GM broke sales records despite the recall scandal. With all stages, leader-member exchange theory teaches you to be aware of how you perceive members of your own team. When the manager is establishing the group, it has to be clear which employees needs improvement or motivation to perform better in the workplace to help the company become successful and meet their goals. The theory focuses on how people in a management position within a company should interact with team members to get the most out of them. It shows that how members of a team or organization are treated greatly and affects how they perform on their given tasks. How we perceive people will ultimately control our expectations of them in the workplace and what value they can bring to the team. Remember, the biggest advantage to the LMX theory is that it alerts you to the preference you might unconsciously and possibly unfairly be showing some team members. This allows you to offer all of your team members appropriate opportunities for training, development, and advancement. Use task allocation strategies to make sure you're assigning the right task to the right person. Some followers simply do not want to be part of the in-group, but as studies have shown, if followers are happy with their leaders, they do good work, and if leaders are happy with their followers, then they are rewarded. Leaders who have good relationships with their employees have employees who stay in the organization and work hard for it. And just to recap, leader-member exchange theory is unlike traditional theories in that it focuses predominantly on the relationship between leader and follower, as opposed to explain leadership as a function of personal characteristics of the leader, features of the situation, or an interaction between the two. Mary Barra's development of high-quality relationships amongst employees provided her with the necessary knowledge to throw away with the rigid dress code policy and to encourage employees to dress how they determine themselves as appropriate. Placing a large emphasis on trust, no longer would employees have to comply with an unnecessary set of rules. Thank you for listening and watching our presentation. We hope you learned something new today. This was created by yours truly, Daniel, Dominic, Nathan, and Nick.